Are you sneaking solo leveling in after the kids' bedtime? Are you catching Jujutsu Kaisen on your lunch break? Maybe you're rewatching some old Dragon Ball Z on the treadmill. If that's you, then welcome to Dad-ime, Dad Anime Club, the show where usually three, but this time two, nerdy-ass dads try to reclaim our anime cred one season at a time. Think of this like book club, but for seasonal anime where we watch shows together and discuss them episode by episode. And we've got a fun topic today, being that this is the Dad Anime Podcast. We're going to talk about some good anime dads and some bad anime dads. But before we do that, I'm your host, Dallin. And with me today is the page master, the master of manga, Tyler. How's it going, Tyler?
Going great. Thanks for having me on again.
Yeah. How have things been?
It's been great. So when we left last time, we were watching 4 different shows. And I did my best to not really dig in too far, so that way I would have enough to talk about each episode. And
yeah,
I honestly liked every single show we picked. I feel like they all offered something different, and if you're just looking for a bunch of different types of shows, we picked a pretty solid handful.
Yes,
I was really excited.
So if this is the first time you're joining us, you'll want to go back to the last episode because that's where we actually picked our shows. But if you want to skip it and just start here, we'll just real quickly tell you what we're watching this season. So we picked 4 shows. We had 9. We narrowed it down to 4, which was very tough. We ended on Kowloon Generic Romance, To Be Hero X, Fire Force Season 3, because obviously we have to see where that's going. And our last pick was Sword of the Demon Hunter,
which I thought was going to be a little weird. Kind of like I Parry Everything, which I've read a little bit of the manga of that, and I thought Sword of Demon Hunter was going to be weird, but it turned out to be one of my favorite ones that we picked.
Ooh, so We'll talk about that coming up. But before we do that, I think we need to talk about our good dads and our bad dads in our anime space. Being that we, I think, are the only dad-focused anime podcast. So we're going to break down. We've put our heads together and we've thought of some characters that fill both roles of what a good dad is and what a bad dad is. And anime surprisingly offers a lot of both options, I think. Not a lot of middles. You think it's always on the extremes on both ends. So let's dive into it. Do you want to start with good dads or do you want to start with bad dads?
Honestly, we might need to bounce back and forth because I think I know where a lot of the bad dads are going to come from. And so we're going to have to talk about the good dads to kind of bounce on. So I say we just trade off one bad dad, one good dad. Right. So I have a list in front of me, and I'm gonna save the worst dad, I think, for later. But I do want to throw out. I know I'm being negative here, but I was thinking I'd throw out. So it's like a low level bad dad. If you've watched Neon Genesis Evangelion. I'm gonna go. Gendo Ikari is not the greatest dad in the world.
No, what is it like? Episode? I think it's the first episode where he's just like, "Get in the mech now!"
Use your dead mom to fight this monster.
Yeah, it's super messed.
It's like the anime itself is a little messed, but Gendo just takes it to the next level. He's not there. And I guess from a Western standpoint, his dad's not around.
Yeah.
Period. And
he's the dad he's obsessed with his work to the point where he's not involved in the kid's life.
Oh,
I think
absolutely.
That's pretty classic bad dad behavior right there. But also you can see how somebody could kind of slip into that, especially given the severity of what's going on in their world.
Yeah, he's a low level bad dad. I'm not saying he's the world is messed up. He's working on solving the problem, and he needs his son to fall in line. I totally understand.
Absolutely.
But he falls into the category of bad dad because he's just not there for his kid. There are good dads, though. So I do want to throw out one good dad. If you've watched Vinland Saga, Thor is a good... sadly, episode 2 or 1 of the season, Thor has some stuff happen to him, but... he stood by himself, his own stuff, and he stood up for his kid in a very great way.
Yeah, he's the quintessential dad that's become self-aware of his bad habits, and then has been I need to break this so that my children don't become me type of dad, and that's such a powerful character type, and one that I don't think we see a lot of the dad who's introspective and realizing oh no, like I need to get ahead of this so that
And
my kids don't deal with this.
like almost like in a Mufasa kind of way, like he leaves like this breadcrumb for our main character to follow. And he's watching, like, as your main character is struggling with death and murder and becoming someone he doesn't like, he looks back at what his dad said early on. So you only get a few chapters with his dad. You only get a few minutes with him. Like,
Yeah,
but his
especially in the
words
manga.
carry all the way. Even halfway through, his words are carrying through like his lessons. So I
Yeah,
think
I
Good
mean
Dad.
his lessons are kind of the payoff of season 2 of Vinland Saga. Totally.
Yeah. So like I think like ultimately Vinland Saga has solid dad.
Yeah, and I would even say if we're like Thor's is the best version of a dad in that show, but I would say Askeladd kind of becomes a really powerful father figure as well in that show. Not quite to the level of like I'm the good guy Thor's, but like
Yeah.
I'll take care of you, I'll teach you how to look after yourself, I'll shape
Hmm.
you into the man that you need to be to
And
survive this.
and I think it's like this like Mr. Miyagi or like these almost like Japanese tropes of like the dad guiding but not necessarily explaining why he's doing what he's doing. Like
Yeah.
that like comes out in a lot of characters or like he'll do the dirty work so you don't have to kind of dad. There's some of those in anime too. So what do you have for do you have a bad dad on your list?
Oh, so I was having trouble because really the ones that come to my mind are like the worst dads, and I think you know where we're going with this. So I'll go with one
Okay.
that is maybe a little bit more left field than the what you're
Mhm.
thinking. And it's also because I'm a big fan of Berserk. So Gambino,
Okay.
terrible dad. That's basically like Guts' father figure.
Yeah.
So I don't really want to spoil too much, but essentially the character of Guts is found hanging under, out of his mom's guts, hence the name, from the hanging tree. And Gambino finds him and his wife finds him and kind of takes him into the family. And tragedy happens to Gambino's wife, and he just kind of resents Guts for his whole childhood. And then at the end of this thing, he's like essentially pimping him out, causing all this sorts of trauma,
Hmm.
just not a good dad in any way, shape,
That's
or form. So
horrible.
that is a bad anime dad. I don't know if it's the worst anime dad, but might be
That's
the
up there.
second worst anime dad.
Um, yeah, probably, yeah. I do want to throw out a good one because it took me, I had to dig for some good ones, but once you start finding them, they're everywhere. So if we're gonna counteract our bad dad, I think Shiro Fujimoto from Blue Exorcist. Now, if you haven't seen Blue Exorcist, Shiro Fujimoto is not their dad, right? He is not their father. These are the children of Satan that he is raising as a priest, and he
Nice.
goes full out to make sure these kids grow up well. They have the equipment to deal with the problem, and in the first two episodes, he's gone. He gives the ultimate sacrifice and raises these kids as if they are his own. I think that is if that is more and again, his lessons do carry over to later seasons. He's a solid dad. 10 out
Nice.
of 10, great dad. So to counteract a dad like that, but I think we should get into like the a little bit heavier ones.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to.
Hit me with a bad one.
Shiro Tucker from Full Metal Alchemist is the worst dad in the world. You can't turn your daughter into a dog. Shao Tucker is the worst dad in the world.
That I mean, okay, I've had trauma in anime. I mean, that's a lot of anime hits you with some trauma. Like, gosh, I'm thinking like Devilman.
Yeah,
That's pretty intense. But nothing hit me quite like watching Full Metal
that was left
and
field.
getting to that episode. The world hasn't really established that it's that dark yet. Like
Yeah,
bad things have
I
happened, but
mean his
like,
arm and leg got ripped off, but like no
but in
one's
the anime
targeting
way.
children. No one's
Yeah,
targeting children.
and then all of a sudden it's the father child dynamic is completely betrayed. Like
Hmm.
that's rough.
Well, it's not just father child; it's father and then like mother. Like he's assaulted the mother,
Yeah.
and then now he's transformed his child, and it's all for the sake of like clout. Like he's just trying to build this reputation that he can do something that other people can't.
Yeah.
But in that same anime, there's worse. There's another bad dad. I mean, but then there's also another wonderful dad.
Yeah.
Uh, so
So, well, let's talk about the good dad.
yeah,
Um I'm trying to blink on his name. Oh,
It's
no.
Maze Hughes. You're
Yes,
absolutely
Hughes.
yeah.
Hughes is
I
a
feel like we have a
great
trope
dad.
here, though. We have this dead dad trope. Dads are only good when they're dead. Maze
Oh no.
Hughes is like
Dads are only good in hindsight, I guess.
yeah, I
Just
guess, right? Like, I don't want to say like me dying would make my son's life better, but like, Maze Hughes is like the quintessential good dad, and like I think that's why that episode is so traumatic.
it's
When the
heavy.
rest of yeah, when everyone finds out Maze dies, is because what made the team like calm or collected or together was Maze, and he was a good person. He
Absolutely.
wanted the best for everyone. So I
He's
think
the humanity of that team, basically, because he's got a life outside of just the Civil War and the fight. He's got a life that involves kids and his family and striving for other things. And so seeing what happens to him is, yeah, it's shocking. It's that moment in a show where it kind of shakes the core value of everybody else around and makes you kind of like readjust how you're seeing things, at least from the perspective of those characters. Now they're like questioning, is it worth it to keep going down this path? Because now we've lost the best of us.
yeah.
So yeah, I think a good dad can leave a mark like that.
And like if I want to pick like dads that make it through the seasons, maybe like found fatherhood might be a better one. Like uh gosh, I'm thinking like
Ooh,
American anime.
great.
Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say a found father sort of esque one, and a good father would be Lloyd from Spy Family.
Yeah, I
He's
mean, so Spy Family's not one of the ones on my list I haven't watched yet, so I'm gonna have to binge.
oh, nice.
Those
Yeah,
would
I
be
mean
good.
it's the trope that, typical. We've got the secret agent, we've got the assassin, and this kid, and they're not actually a family, but we're jamming them together for the sake of this mission, and they kind of just grow closer to each other. It's a typical, anime trope, the growing closer through proximity.
Yeah.
But man, he's just like a good protector. And like, I think that's a number one trait of a dad is like, can you protect your family from
I mean,
not
like
just
Sakamoto
physical
days,
stuff, but
like
yeah, exactly.
yeah.
So yeah, Lloyd Forger, from Spy Family is also a good dad.
Your it's what is I it's your Iruka, sensei from Naruto, the one who picks Naruto up early on and trains him and sees more of him when his family's dead. That's another found father that I feel like protects a kid who's not his own. Iroh from Avatar: The Last Airbender
Yes.
is probably, I think, the quintessential version of that. Not only does he raise Zuko, he loses his own son, and he still shows that feeling of like ownership of what it means to be a dad and a leader and an example. So I think Iroh is probably one of my favorite best dads out there.
Yeah. Especially from like an American's perspective on, I know it's an American anime basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's every American's uncle basically. We all claim Iroh as ours. We love
Yeah.
him.
Yeah. Do you have any more dads? 'Cause, I mean, I could go on.
We hit on the big ones that I had on my list. I think you could potentially throw Bad Dad. You could throw Goku in there.
Oh gosh, yeah,
But
yeah. Goku,
but
Vegeta have their
it's
moments.
more of just the like, I'm so busy pursuing my own thing, dad, which
yeah,
isn't always bad because like you're still teaching your family through, your example of going out there and pursuing and trying to be the best, but you're kind of doing it at the cost of raising your family.
So,
So
so for me, there are dads that I just can't stand in anime. One of them, so, and sometimes Vegeta is one of them, but it is absolutely Gin Freeze from Hunter x Hunter and
oh
Endeavor from My Hero Academia. To me, those are the worst fathers who are caught up in themselves that
yeah,
are not there for their kids who really need them. But one of the fathers that fixes that trope is Ishin Kurosaki from Bleach. He is there from the very beginning. He is there at the very end, and he is doing what he thinks he needs to do.
solid.
So, yeah,
There we go. I think we got a pretty decent list of
yeah,
dads. Solid. I like it. Okay, I think it's time to move on to the bigger conversation that we're gonna have here, and that's the seasonal episode by episode watch along of the four
yeah.
shows that we picked. Because I think there's a lot to talk about. So where do
There's
you
so
want to
much.
start? Which show do we begin with? Because I think there's a couple different ways that we could either start with kind of a shocking one or end with kind of a shocking one.
Gosh, I would. So for to be honest, like what's going to be cut and dry is going to be like Fire Force and Kowloon. You don't have enough after episode 1 or even 2. Like there's just not enough information there to move on through.
All right, let's talk Fire Force to start.
Yeah.
Because I think, we've been waiting. I mean, I binged it, but everybody who's been watching it normal has been waiting for quite a while
I had to go back
season 3.
and watch the end of season 2 to remember what was going on in season 3.
So let's talk season 3. I would say at this point, you kind of know what you're getting with Fire Force. So if you're going in expecting anything different, like you're already just not going to have a good time. Like it's just more Fire Force doing what Fire Force does. That said, I think it's doing Fire Force at it like its peak level, like fully realized version of what Fire Force is.
Yeah, I think not only like the sound for Fire Force movements are unique, like the sound production is really wonderful, but then like the characters are established. When I jumped back in, I was like, wait, I want more of the training sequence we got at the end of the last season.
Yeah.
And I was kind of sad I didn't get more. But I'm excited to see this like almost like rescue mission play out that they're doing after episode 1.
Yeah, it's always been kind of teasing that the Company 8 has been kind of like this, rogue dog doing their own thing, but they've always been the good boy. They've always been doing it within the rules, doing what they're supposed to while trying to uncover these secrets. But this season, it's like gloves are off. We're going full rogue. We're going all bad boy.
They focused on pulling hysterical strength like from the last season.
Yeah.
And my boy Benny was like sitting there explaining how the captain of 8 is the perfect example of hysterical strength. So one, I think we're going to see Arthur, and I think we're going to see Shira like just lose it and have a great time.
Yeah.
Because I can't wait to see him do his Adola burst. I can't wait for them to use the fullness of their ability.
Yeah.
So I'm super excited for that.
Yeah, and remind me, it all kind of blends together because I watched so many so fast. We went through where they unlocked their hysterical strength, right, in episode 1.
So it's actually the last of season 2. They unlocked their hysterical strength.
That's right.
In the first episode of season 3, Obi is kidnapped by the white clad. And
working
Burns,
with the military. What the heck?
The church, right? Like, and it's like Burns isn't like, I'm like, Burns, you are not that. You cannot be this like, I don't know, like fanatical about your
he
faith.
just
But
gets
he is.
like converted to this dark side, parading around as light side.
Well, and so I think that you have to remember that about Burns. He is truly a member of his faith, and she's playing on that. But I was surprised about the switch. I think it's a red herring. So that's what I put down in my notes. Watching Fire Force, I think it's a red herring that Burns has not switched sides. But again, this is one of the mangas I have yet to pick up because I didn't want to like read too far.
Yeah, like taint the experience. Yeah.
Like, it's one of the sequences of the choreography that I really, really love. And in a lot like One Piece, I like rewatching what I read, because I like to see the movement.
Yeah, I have to imagine that Fire Force, the adaptation of it is like really well done for at least the like action scenes and the choreography of like taking what you see on that page and then just like taking it to the next level with both color, sound, the movement of it all. Cause like it hits hard. I don't know of another shonen that really has that like crunchy like punch to it. I don't know how else to describe it. Just that like the sound that works just right with the moment. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the Foley design
like,
is so good.
I think it's also like it's like the music around the note, right? Like there's so like when they make a physical contact in the show, there's a brief pause, and then there's a there's a thump, there's a crunch, there's a crash.
It's that delay that kind of catches you and then like sucks you into it. Yeah,
exactly. And I think that's actually maybe moving to our next one is sort of the Demon Hunter. That had some good movement in it too. Yeah.
So before we move on, is there anything else we want to say about Fire Force season 3?
I'm excited to watch more because there's 2 more episodes that I need to really dig into, but I really want there to be 4 because I know that once I start, I'm gonna keep going.
Yeah.
So
it's great. I would say for those people who are kind of sensitive to the ecchi and it, bothers you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Within like 30 seconds, we're right back to the ecchi tropes, like
So like
immediately.
if you've watched Fairy Tale where Gray is just stripping his clothes, this is like the reverse of that. Like she is literally she cannot keep her clothes on. And it's I love that her ability is like not only can she control fire and like the shape of it, but I think that's super funny that her second ability is that she just loses her clothes. Like
It's distraction at its
it's
finest.
well because it's what saves her in the second season. So
Yeah.
like, I think that's a power now.
I mean, yeah, it's bad luck at a good time, you know?
Yeah. But I do want to move into sort of the Demon Hunter because I think this
All
is
right,
my
let's do
favorite
it.
one.
Okay, really. That surprises me. But yeah, tell me why. What about it
So
like
I came in with zero expectations. I was like, this looks like Demon Hunter, like without the cool art.
yeah,
Uh,
without Ufotable, Demon Slayer without Ufotable is like incredible animation. Yeah.
yeah, with also and so I was like, this isn't gonna be good. And so I'm about 17 minutes in, and I'm like, okay, we've seen child abuse, we've seen like a found family trope, we've seen like almost unrealistically, like they're just gonna live here now.
Yeah.
But then I'm sitting there and I'm watching like 17 minutes in, and they're making the promise, this classic promise in anime for young children living together. And they're promising that he's gonna protect her and she's gonna become the shrine
Right.
maiden. And I'm like, okay, well that's the star-crossed lovers, right?
Yeah. I
This
mean,
is
it's in like everything. It's Kaiju number 8.
it's
It's just a shonen
Inuyasha
trope. Yeah.
and Kagome, and I'm going to come back to that because that plays out even more at the end of the episode. So I'm sitting there watching it, and I'm watching the scene, and the flowers are there, and the wisteria is there, and my brain connects something somewhere. The flowers in the field are what are called spider lilies.
Yeah. The
And
traditional anime flower. Yeah, the red one, right?
yeah, the red one with the legs.
Yep.
They're called naked ladies. They're called the flower resurrection. I paused and I went down a rabbit hole because
Nice. I love that.
I love Shangri-La Frontier. I love the first season. I'm caught up on the manga. I'm still loving it. It is a really good story. And I remember during the Weathermon fight,
Yeah, there's
those
spider
flowers were
lilies there too. Yep.
There's spider lilies there. So I was like, God, that's got to mean something. And then at the end of Demon Hunter, there are spider lilies in the end credits.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, what does this flower mean? So I started looking into it. And the flower literally means that it just shows up around grave sites because people in Japan planted them so that animals wouldn't disturb the grave because the bulbs are poisonous. So
Oh.
like rats and other animals that would try to dig up bodies would end up in like eating through some of these roots and then die. So this was to keep graveyards and rice paddies from like kind of being overtaken by animals.
All right.
But you typically see them in anime when a character's going to die or many characters are going to die. It's like
a precursor.
it's a foreshadow
Yeah.
and so I was like, okay, I paused. I was looking this up and I'm like, oh, I need to watch because something's going to happen that's really dark. And oh boy, does it take you for a great ride. The fight sequence
Yeah.
between our main character, Jinta, and the first demon, beautiful. Great fight sequence.
Yeah, I would say for this show, kind of my general thoughts on it were kind of like what you said. Like, I don't know that this is going to be anything fantastic. Like, I've seen it all before. It kind of feels like it's treading familiar ground. It does look really good. I was surprised at that. I thought it was going to be kind of like a B team working on this. Like, it looks great. It's not Demon Slayer like Ufotable or even Mappa level, but like it's, maybe just right under that. It's real good. The thing that I kind of struggled with is it felt like some of the motivations were just like, we need the plot to move forward now. So we're going to wave our hand and like, this happened. Now this happened. And now we have the situation that we needed to set up the plot. And
now I would also argue that I actually picked up the manga a little bit to read the first chapter, and they're not the same. So sometimes, like when I watch One Piece, it is almost frame by frame. This is not. They've flipped the script. They're taking this is source material and they're making the show.
Gotcha.
So they're very close, but they are not identical.
Nice. I kind of like that though.
Liberties. Yeah.
I mean, it can go both ways. Like when they change so much that the fans of the series get like really pissed off. Like think of like Promised Neverland season 2, the season that doesn't exist or whatever. people dislike that because it just did its own thing. But sometimes it's like, hey, let's take the idea of where this was going and just kind of like, let's ratchet
Flush
it
it
up a
out.
little bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I don't mind if it's done with the right intention.
So
And
I
it
think the plot
seems
moved
like it
forward like
is.
that. But I think the story, and I think because I'm thinking like Inuyasha, I'm thinking this time story where you get a little glimpse of the future where he goes. So that shrine that he goes to, that shrine is his shrine. It's the Jinya shrine. It's the one named after him. And I think that's really important to note too, that like he comes back home at the end of the series. That's what that is. So I think there's going to be a lot more to this story than meets the eye. I'm excited
Yeah.
to see more. I think the art style was great. I was looking for it on Crunchyroll, and there's a lot of news on Crunchyroll about it.
Yeah. It's on High
It's
Dive.
it's on High Dive, and I purchased High Dive for this, just for this one, to see it, and I'm like, I'm trying it out, and so far I'm okay with it. It's
High
worth
Dive
it.
is fine. It's for what you pay for it. It's fine. It has some weird things with like the way that it lays out episodes. I think like the interface isn't as good as Crunchyroll, but
Mhm.
whatever. So whenever things go to High Dive, I'm always a little less inclined to watch them. But I'm glad I watched this one. But what it seems like to me is that this first hour long episode was really just to set the stage for what the series is actually going to be. And so you almost have to think of this as like a big prologue to what you're getting into. It's really saying, here's the characters, here's what they've been through, here's why they are the way they are, this is why they
Mhm.
behave the way they do, here's their trauma up front, instead of doing what they do in normal anime where it's like when it's applicable, then they flash back. This time
Mhm.
it's like, no, we're just starting with the flashback. And then
Yeah.
we're just going in chronological order. Well, they're going to time jump for the next episodes and whatever, but I haven't ever watched Mushishi, but I get the feeling it's gonna kind of take that similar path where it's like, hey, it's supernatural, and Jinya is gonna go solve these problems with demons, and it's just gonna go from place to place, and it's gonna be kind of like a monster of the week or problem of the week type
Yeah.
series, and just kind of like not a comfy show by any means because there's demons and monsters and blood and guts and stuff, but like comfy in the sense that it's like you can just, hey, what's Jinya up to this week? What thing is he investigating or uncovering?
I think if you're looking for something to hold you over till Infinity Castle, right, if you're thinking Demon Hunter, this might be that thing. The same kind of lore you're kind of looking at. The sword is what makes him special a little bit, but now he's got a little bit of demon in him, and
Yeah.
his sister is also a little bit demon, and so now he's got to figure this out. And we have a spoiler, right? Like at the end of the first episode, that something will happen where it ends in a more positive light because it's the year 2010 by the time the series ends. I
Wild.
mean, I think I'm most excited for Sword of the Demon Hunter, but I won't get another hour long episode. It's 30 minutes after this.
Yeah, which I mean, I love when anime just tells the story that it needs to tell,
Hmm.
regardless of time, regardless of, how many episode count or whatever, just like tell the story you need to tell. I'm like a big proponent of that. I get that like anime happens in, seasonal chunks and 12 weeks at a time or 13 weeks at a time. Like I understand, but maybe that's a good thing that it's on High Dive because they were able to kind of break from that traditional cycle and do the hour long episode.
My only worry is that Crunchyroll owns most of the IPs, and they'll like, or at
Yeah.
least they own most of the stuff. So like the consistency is there. If they pick up a show, a lot of times it carries unless there's something big that happens. I worry that High Dive picking up this means that Crunchyroll didn't feel like they needed to, or the distributor just didn't want to make it. Maybe
Yeah.
maybe they want to work with Crunchyroll, but like I worry about the consistency. That's all.
Yeah, and we'll see like as the series goes on, does the quality drop off?
Hmm.
Also kind of when we get to the end, were there enough people that stuck with it from episode 1 to the end to,
Keep
justify
watching it.
finishing the
Yeah.
story? Yeah, we'll see. I have hopes for it. I don't think it's going to be like, blowing down any doors, but I think it's a solid kind of middle of the road series that is comfy to watch because it kind of treads on familiar ground, but in a new-ish sort of way. And I think it's going to be just a fun weekly kind of check-in type show just to see
Yeah.
what's going on.
I absolutely agree. But then I think that brings me to like I think the golden goose. I think you picked a really great one, To Be Hero X.
Yeah,
Uh,
man,
uh,
that one's surprising.
yes.
It,
How
man.
much of that
So
have you watched?
I'm fully caught up to it.
Okay,
Yeah, I couldn't
I'm
stop.
early. I'm one episode, and
Yeah.
it was painful to click pause. Like I felt that. Um,
Yeah,
but if
it's
you like the boys, I think you'll like To Be Hero X.
yeah, it's like anime The Boys in
Hmm.
some regards.
It's not going to be as raunchy as the boys,
No, it's
so
not
it's
as
not
heavy, it's not
Homelander.
as dark. Yeah, but more just in the aspect of like, hey, there's this company that's running heroes and they care about the bottom line and the bottom dollar and views more than their heroes like sanity and well-being.
So
So
last week you talked about like the juvenile part of the show, how that makes
yeah,
it not the boys. I actually had a comment about that. Like
yeah, let's hear
I
it.
was as you're watching it and the juvenile stuff's happening and he thinks he's a hero and he's standing there defending the girl and doing the juvenile like story in his head, the art changes, he
Hmm.
changes, he becomes the hero, and the scene changes from being one that's a little bit darker to one that's lighter and fluffier, and it suddenly just feels like he's the hero. But then in the off sequences, it's more 3D, it's less anime, it's less juvenile. And like literally, he's sitting there standing on top of a building. What do you think he's going to do? The main hero comes by, falls down the building, and just gets mangled at the bottom. It
Yeah,
shows you
just
all of
jumps.
that detail.
Yeah.
Right? And then at the very end, all this juvenile art slowly dissipates after this huge fight sequence, which was wonderful. And there's a dead girl in his bed. Like, holy hell. I
Yeah,
could
it's
not. I was
whiplash.
like, yes. I was like, yeah, whiplash is the best way to describe it.
It's I don't know if it's tonal whiplash per se,
Hmm.
but I think it's like at the very least the art style can give you whiplash because it's like you said, like bright, happy, whimsical, I'm in my
Yeah.
imagination, and then it's just slam jump cut to like a dead girl in the bed. Like that's
Like,
insane.
here's not real, here's real.
Yeah.
This is the world you think you're in, this is the world you're actually in.
Yeah.
And that's how I'm feeling about it. And I thought it was I was like TV 14 is not necessarily accurate right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we'll see where it goes from here because I think it has a lot of potential to kind of dive into that side of things
Mhm.
where it's like skirting the line between like what's for teenagers, what's for adults kind of thing. Like it
Yeah.
kind of fits that really well. But I
Yeah.
think there's also going to be times where it goes the other way and it's like, what am I watching? Like, come on, get to the stuff. So we'll see where it goes. But
But I think that's also the idea of like a serialized anime or
yeah.
it's a sequence. You do have to have those episodes that are a little bit juvenile sometimes, but then like really bring the story back around. And
Yeah,
so
it,
I'm
it
excited
creates some
after episode
dynamics.
one. After episode one, I am willing to keep watching. So I'm not nixing it. I was worried when you said juvenile. I'm not too worried right now after episode
Yeah.
one. We'll see after episode two.
Yeah, how did you think the 3D like CGI animation was? Because like I know a
Just like
lot of
Arcane,
people
I had to
hate
take
it.
a minute and I had to take a step back. But just like unlike Arcane, it doesn't stay in that style. Arcane picked a style and kind of stuck with it for the most part. There were
Yeah,
some like splashes of color here, some 2D animation here, but this one really doesn't stick to a style. It goes
yeah,
between your traditional anime, Chinese anime, and 3D graphics, and I'm like, what is going like in just one fight sequence? There was three different forms of animation,
yeah. It's
and I'm
crazy.
like, who is doing this? Is this like for production? Is this just for fun? Like, are you just having a good time? Because that's what it felt like.
Yeah, I think honestly, Spider-Verse kind of
Uh,
changed what people do with animation now because they saw how successful that was and how great that was too, and how
well,
much
to add to
fans
that,
loved having all that kind of different styles, and it's like per character too, which makes it
mhm.
even better. So,
Well, and then
anyways, what were
like
you
to
gonna say?
add to that, there was like the new Disney just dropped another Spider-Man, and it's like a
Mm,
Y7. It's like neighborhood Spider-Man.
yeah,
It's done in like 60s comic book style, and
yeah.
it's three-dimensional, and it's amazing. It's wonderful art.
Yeah, so I think if you're a hater of the CG anime, I would say still give this one a chance because it changes frequently enough that it probably won't bother you. But like if you hated Trigun Stampede, you probably like maybe stay away from this because it maybe just CG and anime just is not your thing. I think it can be used as like a tool. I think it's useful when it's not overdone. And in this show, I think it's just kind of it's done for a reason and it fits.
Did you
Like you
watch
said, it's
Berserk, like the new egg, like the 3D animated like Berserk stuff that came out?
which one, the 2015 garbage one,
Yeah,
or like
yeah, that one.
the golden? Yeah, no,
Yeah.
yes, and I hated it
That's
so bad.
I think that's the negative end, right? Like
Yeah,
that this is kind of leaning towards the like Arcane being like this really great version of
yeah,
it. I think this leans a little closer to Arcane. It's not that level, but
no,
it's getting there. It's definitely close.
yeah, it's missing some of the like textures, or like the breath that pops out of their mask, and like, just
Hmm.
the glint off of a rifle and CG, like that type of stuff is kind of missing. But when it goes back to the 2D like anime, it slaps. It's real good.
Yeah.
So it's worth if you can just, pause your brain that's hating the CG for a couple minutes, I think you'll like it.
Yeah. And I think that leads us to the last one, which is Calvin
Yeah.
Generic Romance, because this is the one I picked. I was like, my wife's like, you should probably mention like a more relaxing kind of anime. And this was I went through episode 1 and episode 2 because I could not hold back.
Yeah.
I like both.
You say that you liked Sword of the Demon Hunter the most.
Mhm. Yeah.
I think I like Kowloon the most of
That's
everything that we
awesome.
picked.
Because Calhoun
Yeah.
is my second favorite. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It is out of all the ones we picked, but it is the one that I've enjoyed the most in terms of watching it because my wife and me get to talk about it.
Yeah.
And I think that's really enjoyable.
Yeah. So this one is weird. Like, strictly talking episode 1, you're kind of just thrown into this story. You're just,
Yeah.
hey, we're in Kowloon, which is kind of like this walled off city in China.
China. Yeah. It's a city in China. Like it legit is.
Yeah, and it's this guy has transferred here from the Japanese branch, and that's kind of where it starts.
We know there's a
with the
pharmaceutical
realtor.
company. There's Gene Terra, like this moon
Yep.
in the sky that's
There's
like
this
electronic.
weird UFO looking thing floating up in the sky, and it keeps showing up in the background of almost every shot, clearly implying that this is something we need to be paying attention to for the story, but also not telling us a damn thing about it, which I love. It's really just that constant scratch of intrigue. Just like, hey, remember that? Yeah, put a pin in that, and then like a couple of minutes
come
later,
back.
hey, remember that? We'll come back, and you're like, oh, stop, just tell me what it is.
Okay, and then so like you think it's Kowloon generic romance, right? You're going to be watching full blown romance. You think you're going to get this like lovely romance, and the first episode, no, you get work assault.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. The whole time I was going into this thinking traditional romance because of the name, like generic romance. So in
Yeah.
my head, I'm thinking this is just going to be your stereotypical rom-com. But literally in the first episode, there's kissing. So already, like, it beats out almost every rom-com anime ever. That's the end of the show
but
is
it's
when they
disappointing.
kiss. This starts there.
It's disappointing the whole time. Like you're like, I need
Yeah.
you guys to make a connection. I know you
Yep.
guys like each other because they're taking out each other out to lunch. He takes her out on a dinner date. And then at the end of the dinner date on the first episode is a big twist.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, you start kind of getting the seeds planted as it's going along. Like, there's moments where he'll say like,
nostalgia.
no,
Yeah.
we're not going here. We're going to the usual place. And she's like, the usual place? What the hell are you talking about? And he's like, we got to get this soup dumpling, the one we always get. And she's like, okay. And like, also he's like taking away her agency the whole time, not letting her make a damn choice. And I'm just like, how are you the good guy of this story? Oh, so it's,
she's
it's
not
slowly
getting
kind
any
of
choice.
plants.
Your main character is drawn perfectly. I think that they did a lovely job drawing her. Again, if Ichi's not your thing and you're not watching the animation, you don't like to watch like a little bit of profundity, this one might not be for you.
Yeah,
But,
it's
like,
not like over the top. There's a
No.
specific scene where
The
we'll
painting
just call it
scene?
out. Yeah, she's painting. She gets heat stroke, and obviously, when you're painting in the summer, of course you're gonna wear less clothes because it's hot
Yeah.
out there. And it does the promiscuous anime shot where it's like, how can we put the camera in the spot that shows off the goods? You know what I mean?
But I will point out, almost everything you see in the first episode will be replayed in the second episode. So those of you, this is where it's spoiler territory, because the second episode, you're going to get more context from the male perspective. Everything
Yeah.
from the female perspective, he looks like an ass. He looks like he's not listening, and then he's kissing her at work, and he's disappointed that he kissed her, and she didn't even ask for it. And he looks lazy.
But it's like it happens when he's asleep, right? She goes to like wake him up, and so he's like kind of in that weird like dream, like when you're like half asleep, half awake, and you're kind of in that grog. That's when it happens, and it's almost like he like recognizes her.
Yeah,
and it's so like, oh, this is a familiar. I'm so glad to see you. I'm gonna kiss you, and then it's like this. Wait a second, it's not you. Who I thought you were.
And then so at the end of the first episode, she goes back to where they had their dinner date, and she's been handed to a photo from the barkeep who said, "Hey, this is a photo of you and the dude you were just with."
They mistake her for his girlfriend.
Yeah, and actually fiance, because that's the photo of their engagement.
Yeah.
So we see it in the photo. It's the main character. It looks identical to the main character. They're dressed almost identically.
Yeah.
And
there's a few like tiny differences.
The way she wears her glasses, her earrings, those kind of things.
And that's like pretty much it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so then that's going into the second episode. And I know this is a spoiler, but like you're going to watch your main characters go through almost the same cycle, like morning, day at work, dinner, and then a little bit into the next day, and you're still going to walk away from that second episode going, what the hell did I just watch?
with some more context, but also like more questions.
So leaving off on the second episode, there is more to this writing than meets the eye. The main character's name sounds like the letter 8, which is a lucky letter. He touches every 8. It plays out in episode 1 and 2.
Apartment is number 8, by the way.
Yeah. Words are going to be a thing. So focus on words, and don't think generic romance. Like this is like regular. Think like generic prescription. Like that's where I'm kind of getting like, and then like when you think like if they're going to play on words, like they're the whole time they're going to play on words.
Well, they say stuff like nostalgia is just another name for love.
Yeah. Which is then it's like memory you want to lock up. Right. That's what she says.
Yeah. And so there's just all these little kind of hints that I think once we get the full story told to us, you'll go back and be like, oh my God, they were telling me the whole time. I just didn't have the context to understand what everything meant.
So, and I think like they're doing a really good job on pacing, because end of episode 2, and this is not a spoiler, you'll get a character who is a snake who has snake-like features, and then at the very end of the episode, there will be some like chapstick or lipstick, and it's called Eden, and it's apple flavor. And so we have this tempter, right? We have this tempting snake. We have this lipstick that is literally named Eden and is apple flavor. And so I think,
well, and it's gonna play on the price of knowledge, right? You wanna know what's really going on, because at the end of the episode, she's like, kind of like, I don't feel like I'm myself. I don't understand.
I need to know more. I think that's a good point. Price of knowledge.
Yeah.
Right?
So what is the price you're willing to pay to get the full story? And I think it's for the main female character.
The second character, the boy, he's not talking about everything he knows. So again, if you go and watch the second episode, he is literally living a life that is, I think, a living hell. He loves this girl who's sitting in front of him, and he's not telling her. And I am into this romance. Yeah. I'm 2 episodes in, and I'm in, and I need a third episode where I'm gonna go pick up the manga.
It's out now.
Yeah.
So I couldn't. I had no self-control, and I caught myself up all the way because I just needed to know, because the story is just so good. Normally in these romance shows, it's the kind of the payoff is like, oh look, they touched hands.
Yeah, they're holding hands. Oh my
they
God.
accidentally sat next to each other on the bus. Like, oh no, there's only one bed at the hotel. Like,
yeah,
the typical stuff. This one immediately is like, no, we're not doing that. We're not playing on those tropes. These people clearly care about each other. They don't know why. We don't know why. And we're going to slowly peel back what's going on. By the way, there's an evil pharmaceutical company and a spaceship in the sky that's doing weird stuff. Hope you like it. Yeah. And it's like, yeah, of course I like it. I just want more context.
Well, and I think I'm also watching Rama one half, like the remake. The remake
remake on Netflix. Yeah.
and I love it. And I'm like, I just want them to say they like each other, and this one is way better. Like I'm like, I want them to tell me why there's a spaceship in the sky. I am into the lore is what is got me hooked.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm really curious. I have some theories of what this is of what's going on, but I think I kind of want to save the theories till next week because I think we need the context of episode 2 to because I feel like if I say what my theory is, not that it's going to spoil things, but it requires to get to my theory, you need episode 2 to get there, and I don't want to say what it is and then have people be like,
so if you're
how
listening,
are you jumping to this?
Watch episode 2 and also watch episode 3 because I'm pretty sure you're gonna like episode 2 too much.
Yeah, honestly, it's so good.
Episode 2 leads right into episode 3.
And the way that it ends is like, you can't end an episode there. I, of course, have to watch the next thing because it's just such a weird, another left turn. The show is just full of left turns.
Yeah,
so.
And I think you don't go in watching like what you do for Demon Hunter. We were watching for beautiful fight sequences and lovely like images. You're gonna go in for what made I think like Neon Genesis really cool. Sound quality, artistic scenery, referencing to
like specifically
to outside lore,
putting things on the screen that like tease at what's going on without telling you what's going on,
and almost like they truly are making art. This is like I do think that like when I'm looking at it and I'm like, this is good art. This is a good story.
I kind of look at it like if this was a movie that, you know, Hollywood produced and came out, would it hold up in its existing state? And I think it would. I think this would be like a great TV show, whether or not it was animated form or not. It happens to be animated, and I think that works in its favor. But yeah, I think this could just be lifted from like Hollywood, honestly.
Yeah. And like I feel like a scenery like almost like a Blade Hunter world or like a dystopian city might be a good like Fifth Element even like just
exactly.
would fit this story even. So I do think like you could put this in Hollywood and it might do okay.
Yeah, it's got those dystopian elements. It's got these sci-fi elements. It's clearly a story about the characters, but it has all these other like little pieces that are just so intriguing. So yeah, I'm really excited to see where this one goes.
Yeah, and I want to hear Preston's take. So he has to give us a rundown the next episode. So I'll throw this in here now because I want to hear him talk about what we've talked about so we can giggle.
And be like, we already came up with that idea. That's already our theory.
He's going to probably come with notes. Like,
I'm sure. Yeah, absolutely.
But I'm really excited to watch the next set of episodes. But super excited.
Yeah. So that wraps it up. Any like last thoughts you want to say, not just about Kowloon, but any of the shows that we've watched this week? Anything come to mind that you want to call out?
I keep going back in my head to the part in The Sword of the Demon Hunter where his sword first makes contact with the demon's arm. And we talked about these movements in Fire Force and the sound quality, and I keep going back in my head to that. Like his sword like makes contact with the arm and sits there for a minute and then breaks through, and you can almost feel it as he's doing it. Like when I play God of War, that's also that feeling I get when I throw the axe and I hit something, I get that vibration back, like the haptic feedback. I almost felt that. I was like, oh, damn.
Yeah, that one's so weird at that portion because like he gets his arm taken off, right? And
that was so unrealistic.
I did not see that. I was like, what the hell's going on? And then later on, he's got like Jumbo Wumbo, like Hellboy.
Yeah,
like,
and so the demon even says what his ability is. He's able to take in demon's abilities and change his body to adapt to that. So the demon literally was dying and gave his arm up to our main character, Jinra. Jinta. And Jinta that arm attaches to him as almost a curse because when he's talking to his younger sister, his sister is a demon and his eyes start going. He has become the literal thing he is hunting. And I think Demon Hunter and Inuyasha play on that. Becoming the thing that you don't want. And obviously the main character Demon Hunter does not do that, but many other characters branch into the realm of becoming a demon And I think in the last season of Demon Hunter, you guys will definitely get what I'm saying, because that when that ends, you are going to be like, oh, I get what he's saying now, because there are people in the universe take that step too far and they become demons themselves. So
Yeah.
I think Jinta, like, I'm into it. I'm really into it.
Yeah, it'll be really cool to see where it goes. Aside from that, I don't really have any other notes on any of the episodes we watched, other than I'm surprised at the quality of the shows that we've picked. Because
Yeah.
normally in a given season, I'll probably check out 10 shows and maybe only stick with about 3 of them. And this time it's these 4 shows that we picked. There's also other ones out there that I'm watching on the side. I'm like, this season has been surprisingly good. Not
Yeah.
like masterpiece level. Like, we're not getting like Chainsaw Mans and Jujutsu Kaisens and whatever, but we're getting like just solid 7 and 8s this season. So
I mean, I fold my laundry every like Saturday or Sunday, and I put on my One Piece episode, and I watch my One Piece episode, and then I pick up another anime and another one, and I've watched hundreds of isekais. I've read 100 of them, and it's refreshing to see things that aren't following the tropes, but if they are, they're trying to do it their way, and I
yeah.
think that's what these are doing.
Yeah, I would say between both the Sword of the Demon Hunter and Kowloon, it's, hey, let's tread on familiar ground and break the mold. Let's do it our own way.
Yeah, well, To Be Hero X breaks a mold all on its own.
Yeah, I don't even know that is following like tropes, really. Like, it's just kind of blazing its own trail. It's
well, it
just
is
like
playing off of anime tropes, but it is absolutely doing its own thing.
Yeah,
because like there's the hero trope, there's the kid who becomes the hero, but it is
Right.
not. It is not what I thought it was. So
yeah. So the season of familiar yet very different, I think we can call spring. So yeah, I think.
yeah. Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, you go ahead.
So like, and I also want to send a message out to like the dads. Like, if you're watching this and you don't have time to watch all these, just pick one and one that you can to get your hands on and just enjoy it. Today I was trying to fix my fridge earlier today, and I was like running down here to get to the podcast. And if you don't have time, it's okay. Like, the animes aren't going anywhere. Right, just fit it in.
Yeah, just add it to
advice.
it to the pile of to be watched. Yeah,
yeah.
No, it's true. Like, I think I grow my to be watched list faster than I can ever add to my completed list, and I think that's normal. And
I read mangas at inappropriate times. Like, so
just fit it in where you can, man. Like, that's the thing. Like, I'll be doing the dishes and I'll be like, you know what? I'm gonna watch 10 minutes of this one episode, but I have to watch it in English dub because I'm not going to be looking 24/7 at the screen. But hey, I want to fit it in there because I want to see what's next. So you make some sacrifices, like listening to it in English.
Yeah, it's painful, but some of them I'm okay.
Some of them are good. Yeah,
some of them are good now. So yeah, I just want to throw that out there for those dads, or for anyone who's really struggling to like keep up on like what's new. You don't have to go by Crunchyroll. You don't have to go by High Dive. There are ways to watch this stuff, and Netflix has done a wonderful job about getting so contracted stuff. Don't feel the need to go watch all 1,000 episodes in One Piece because I like it. But like, just find your time and find what works for you. And
as much as I want to watch One Piece, I don't think I will ever work up the courage to hit through 1,000 episodes. That is
honestly so One Piece.
Huge.
You can look that up. Pacing guides are there, but honestly, it's like, how do you eat an elephant? It's just one bite at a time. So I started watching One Piece when I was like in high school, leaving high school, and I got to Paramount War, and I was like, okay, this is amazing. But then there was no more episodes, and then I turned around and have a kid, and I have nothing to do with a newborn, and so I'm watching One Piece again, and I'm like, well, I watched the Paramount War, let me rewatch the whole thing from the very beginning. And I skipped tons of stuff. If you can get stuff without ads, there are things that are filler. You can fly through it. But you don't want to fly through the music. Don't fly through the music.
Yeah. I thought the same thing, I guess, with Dragon Ball. When I first started, I was like, ooh, this is big. I mean,
it's an undertaking.
160 whatever episodes is small compared. But, that was my first big jump into something. It's literally like 10 times bigger.
But you probably noticed early on in episode 1, even just episode 1, there are scenes placed in there for commercial breaks. And you can skip through those. And there are recaps for commercials. So because they knew they were going to be airing on U.S. television and they'll need a break in here.
Yeah. Well, and then you would just see like the beginning of every episode. You're like, okay, I can skip about 4.5 minutes because it's just recapping everything that happened last time.
That's all Alabasta for One Piece. You can just skip the first 5 minutes. Don't skip the intro song, and you can watch the rest. And then the last 5 minutes, it's nothing new.
Yeah.
Just go to the next episode. You just cut 10 minutes off your time.
Yeah, there you go.
Which is probably why they're remaking the whole thing.
Yep, speed run, baby, speed run.
Yeah.
All right, well, thanks for tuning in. I hope you guys are enjoying the anime this season as much as we are, and I hope you're following along if you can. Like Tyler said, if not, no worries. We're not going anywhere. You can listen to these episodes when you catch up. And I'm just excited to see where this goes. So thanks for hanging out with me, Tyler. I really
no problem,
appreciate it, and it's always a fun time to, break away from the normal dad stuff and just talk about anime for an hour. So
yeah, it is pretty good.
All right. Well, until next time, hang in there, stay safe, stay humble and awesome, and we'll catch you in the next episode. See ya.
See ya.